Hello everyone, welcome back to Autognizant channel. Now we are at the end of the XPath series and today we will learn the last session, that is how to handle complex dynamic XPath in automation framework. So we have already seen what is XPath, what is absolute XPath and what is relative XPath. Along with that, we have also learned the simple dynamic XPath and how to handle it in the automation framework. Now, what if we want to change multiple dynamic text at runtime? So we need to have some kind of provision in the framework in order to handle that. Before we move ahead, in case if you haven't watched previous two parts of this series, I have given the link in the description below. Please watch it before proceeding with this video for better understanding. Without further ado, let's dive straight into it. Now let us understand how to write single dynamic XPath in order to validate this entire table. So before we start writing the actual code, let us figure out how to write dynamic XPath for this. Now my purpose is to validate this entire table based on the first name. So what I need to do is find out the column number for each column based on its column header, right? So what I mean by this is, let's figure out the column number for department, right? So I'm going to use department text in the XPath, right? So let me identify this element first, slash div text is equal to department, right? Now let me switch to parent element, parent div. Now we are at sibling level, right? Now I have to traverse back to the preceding siblings. So I'm going to use keyword preceding sibling star. Now with this we can see 1 of 5, right? So why we are seeing 1 of 5? Because there are 5 columns before department, right? So this is the second one, age is third one, email is fourth one, and salary is fifth one, right? So there are 5 columns before department, right? So in order to find out the department column number, we have calculated the how many preceding siblings it has. Now it has 5 preceding siblings. We can find out this number with the help of count function, and let us see how we can use count function. So we cannot get the value of count function in this search bar, so we need to use console. So let's see, use console. Now in order to validate XPath in console, we have to use $x and we have to write the XPath. So I'm going to use count function and I'm putting a XPath that we have prepared. So this is the XPath we prepared. Let me use this and enter. We are getting the value 5, right? But the department column is the 6th one, right? Therefore we need to add 1 in order to get 6, right? Because department is at column number 6, right? Now let's use, let me copy this XPath and keep it aside in a notepad, right? Now you might have understood like somehow we have to replace this 5 with this XPath so that we can get the department value dynamically, right? Instead of hard coding the index, right? So I'm going to copy this again and put it in the search bar like this, and then I'm going to copy this one and put it instead of 5. Now one thing to notice over here is while calculating the count we used preceding sibling, right? And that's why we had to add +1 in order to get the department. But now in order to find out the department column with the help of first name, we are using following sibling, right? Now that we are using following sibling over here, we no need to add +1 over here. If we use +1 in this example, it will highlight to the last column, that is action column. But we don't want to use action column, so that's why I'm going to remove the +1. Why I am removing +1 is because I am using following sibling keyword in the earlier part of the XPath, right? So I'm already at first column, and now I'm calculating the column numbers from the second column, that is last name. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 is my actual column number if I use following sibling in the first part of the XPath. So this is how we can get the column values for department, right? Now here you can see I used the first name as dynamic text, right? And the department name is also my dynamic text. Now what if I want to use, let us say I want to find out the salary for the first user. So what I need to do, I need to replace the first name Kyra with Sierra, and then department with salary. So now you can see it is highlighting the salary column for the first user, right? So this is our dynamic XPath with two dynamic texts. One is the first name and other one is the column name, right? So I'm going to keep this XPath in a notepad, and let's start writing the Java code in order to validate this entire web table. So we have already Cucumber scenario. Let's go to the step definition class. Now here we have the similar scenario. We need to use data table, and we have to convert it into map. So I'm going to use the similar function that we used earlier, list of map of string comma string, and again data. So data table dot as maps, right? So I'm going to print the values first in order to verify whether we are getting the correct values from data table or not. So first name is equal to data dot get 0 dot get first name. All right, now let's print the other column values as well. Last name, here also we will have last name, then we have age, email, salary, right? So it should be age, then email, then salary, and the last one is department. All right, so let me update the print statements over here as well. And the last one is age. All right, now this is for the first row, right? Again we will have to repeat this process for all rows. So again I need to use the for each loop in order to repeat this process. So I'm going to use for each loop for each row, right? And now here I'm going to create variables for each column. String first name is map.get first name. Similarly, I'm going to create variables for each column value, right? So this is my first name and this is my expected last name, right? This is my again expected age, then expected email value, then expected salary, and then expected department. All right, so again I need to use proper key name. It should be salary over here, then email, age, and last name. All right, now I have to use this function web tables page dot verify table data. I need to pass first name along with all expected column values. First name, expected last name, expected age, expected email, expected salary, and expected department. All right. So now I'm going to use, I have to change this method and I have to add all these parameters in order to verify the table data. Let's create web element in the web tables object repository JSON file. So here instead of department text, I'm going to use table data text. Okay, and I need to use the XPath that we created earlier. Here, let me use this XPath, and here I need to replace the dynamic text. So I'm going to use dynamic text to replace the first name, and I also need to use dynamic text to replace the department value. So for department value is also dynamic this time. So we have two dynamic values in single XPath, right? So let's use this table data text which accepts two dynamic values. So let's calculate the actual last name, right? Driver dot get element text. Now here we have two dynamic XPath, but we have a single parameter dynamic XPath. So we have to separate two dynamic XPaths with comma. Instead of creating multiple arguments, I decided to go with single parameter for replacing dynamic text. If we have multiple dynamic text to replace, then we have to use comma separated values like this. So first of all, our element name, that is table data text. Then our first name is for first dynamic text. Then plus we have to replace the second dynamic text with, we have to concatenate two dynamic text with the help of comma. So for capturing the actual last name, we need to provide the column name, that is last name, or last name is our column name over here. Similarly, we need to provide all column names in order to find out the actual values from the web page, right? So let me write, therefore let me create variables to store all actual values for all these columns, right? So we have created it for last name. Now let me create it for expected, sorry, not expected, it should be actual age. Then we have actual email. Then we have actual salary. Then we have actual department. So let me replace these column values. For department, the column name is department. For salary, the department, the column name is salary. For email, column name is email. And for age, the column name is age. So what we did here, we are providing two dynamic text separated by commas. The first dynamic text is to identify the row based on the user, that is first name, and the second dynamic text, that is column header, in order to identify the correct column number in dynamic XPath. So this will give us all actual values for the column, and those actual values are nothing but Vega 39, salary value, and department value, right? So now let's use assertion statements to compare these values. So I just have to simply use expected and actual variables. So compare actual last name with expected last name. So here I can say that last name is not correct. Then we have actual age. We have to compare it with expected age. Here I can say age is not correct. Then we have expected email. We have to compare expected email with actual email. So let me quickly do it like this. So here we can say department value is not correct. Here we'll say salary is not correct, and here we'll say email value is not correct. Yeah. So one thing you can notice over here is we have used single web element, that is table data text, and we have written single XPath in our object repository JSON file. Now let's run this with the help of Maven command. So let me correct the Maven command first. So I'm going to use Maven command this time because I want to see the nice Cucumber reports. So mvn clean verify, and I'm going to run this. Before I run this, let me correct the runner class. In run, I'm going to mention the feature tag, so it will run both scenarios. So I'm hoping this time it will verify the entire web table with the help of single dynamic XPath which we have created. As we can see, the scenario execution is completed and there are 0 failures, and this is the console report. Now let's go to nice Cucumber HTML report. So Cucumber HTML reports are getting generated in target folder under Cucumber -HTML reports. Let me open this report file in a Chrome. Here we can see the feature statistics and the feature name. We executed 2 scenarios out of 2 are passed and 0 failures. Right? If we click on the dynamic XPath demo feature file, then we get scenario wise report. So let me expand all, and here you can see how both scenarios got successfully executed. And we have also attached the log file for our reference in report. And you can see all the details in this data table are verified with the help of single dynamic XPath. This is the end of the XPath series. I hope you got better understanding of XPaths and the dynamic XPaths in Selenium. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you soon in another lesson.